Welcome, Engineers, to another overview of one aspect of the game, Junkyard Juggernauts. Today we're going to look at the Juggernaut torsos. So at the beginning of the game, part of the setup is you'll be randomly getting one of the Engineers, whether it's Malcolm or Riviera or whoever. You'll be getting one of those, and then you will also randomly be getting a torso. So the thematic thing, thematically what's happening is you're all traveling down to the junkyard. Your tutor Dauburn's taking you down there, and you see these hulking torsos sort of sticking out of the junk, and you claim one randomly, like that would be the one you take, and then you start digging for arms and legs and whatnot. So we're going to go over the 4 different torsos. We're going to look at, first off, the player mat overall, like what are the different aspects of it, and then the individual torso powers, and then we're going to make a build. So when you get your playmat, here are the different elements of it. So you have your left arm and right arm tracks at the top. So this is where you track your metal. For instance, let's say one of your cards was, okay, you got a wind 1/2. So the base metal is 1, the upgrade metal is 2. So let's say you socket this in to your right arm or left arm, my other right, your left arm. If you're most Engineers, if you're any Engineer but the Wind Engineer, you'd put your metal on 1. If you happen to be the Wind Engineer, you put it up to 2 because you start at the upgrade amount. So this is for right arm. That's the track for. This track is for tracking right arms. This one for left arm. Jeez, I did it again. This track is for the left arm. I swear I know my lefts and rights, guys. Let me put my, left side, right side. Left arm track for tracking your metal. Right arm tracking your metal. Likewise, at the bottom, let's say we socketed this in for our leg, it would be a very, very slow Engineer, or Juggernaut, but you have your left leg and your right leg track. So again, this would be, you just put your metal tracker cube there if you were using this for a leg, if you're not the Wind Engineer. Otherwise, if you are the Wind Engineer, be there. Okay, so those are how you place, those are the points where you put your limbs and the tracks for that. In addition, up by the name of your Juggernaut, oh, and I should say the tracks sort of, you can see these arrows pointing in from the different tracks. That's to indicate that you add up this track, the number on this track plus the number on this track, that gives you your attack strength. That's what the fist is. And you add the number on this track and the one on this one to get your speed. That's what the little legs are. So that's how you calculate speed, what your metal is, all that. In addition, let's say you are playing as Riviera, okay? And we'll get into more deep dive into charges here in a second, but let's say you have a charge, you do your focus charge ability. You can also put your, then one option is to put your charges into the name of your Juggernaut. So there's a space here for those as well. And again, I'm using the deluxe edition that has sort of, let me see if I can point at the camera. It has this sort of chipboard that comes with it that you punch out and you glue on to the playmat. The economy version just has the playmat, which is still usable. It's just these cubes will, if you knock them, if you knock the mat, they're gonna go places. So you gotta be careful with that. But anyway, so there's a place to put in your positive charges for buffing your Juggernaut. And when you do this, essentially each charge counts as a +1 per limb to all the relevant stats. So if we had this one in here, we get essentially +2 to our attack strength if we have 2 arms, and +2 to our speed if we have both legs. If a leg's destroyed or disabled, you don't get that benefit, but and you get that for each charge. Okay, so there's a place for those charges. Right arm, left leg, right leg. You also have a spot for, as you're going along, collecting your corruption. So if you get corruption, you place it there. Alternatively, what was that word I just said? Alternatively, if you get potions, you put them in your potion bag. So it goes on that side. And then at the very, very bottom, which I don't know if I'll be able to get on screen, but we'll try here, is a place for your, just below your player mat is, it says use amplify cards. So you place them sort of below your mat. And we'll talk about amplify cards in another video. I have one, but it's not very good quality. So if you're watching this really close to when I released it and you see, oh, there's this amplify one, let me watch that. I mean, you can, it's just not great. Anyway, so those are the different sections of your playmat. Lastly, though, is this part right here, which is the special ability for this specific torso. Everything else, except for the names are all different too, but everything else is the same for each player mat. The passive ability, so there's passives, which are sort of going on all the time. There's actions and there's reactions. So I believe, if I'm remembering right, all the Juggernaut torsos have passive abilities. So the passive ability for Chunk is can move one extra location when traveling. Breaks allies' ties. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where there's a tie in your team, maybe over loot or something like that, the player who has Chunk gets to break that tie, gets to decide who wins the tie. And then moving one extra location. So usually on the location tracker, you can move anywhere between 1, 2, 3, 5, or 8 locations away. With if you have Chunk, you get to add one more to all of those. So everyone starts at the 3 location, the 3, we'll call it fuel, the 3 fuel marker. So that means you could essentially move up to 3 locations away from where you're at now. With Chunk, you can move 4 locations, or if you're at the 5 mark, you can move 6. If you're at the 8, you can move 9. So you get to move one extra space. Now we'll move on to the other Juggernauts. Oh, and on the back of each of these mats is the Warmock corollary. So if you end up being the warlord, you take off all your pieces carefully, and then you flip over your playmat, and now you have the Warmock side. Now there aren't any, you just have the visual insets for building out the Warmock, and there's no chipboard that goes on this side. But you can still place everything where it should go. And there's a place for upper left arm, lower left arm, upper arm, lower right arm, and then 3 legs. As well as a place for, let's see, do I have it? No, I don't. Oh yeah, right there. It's right there. And then you can put any extra potions you have on this side. All right, so that's the Warmock for Chunk. Okay. Now we'll go to the next torso, Gem. Which again, everything else is the same, but the passive ability for Gem is when roll an extra 1d6. So if most of you know this, I'm sure, but 1d6 would be a die, a 6-sided die. Roll an extra 1d6 when making any amplify rolls. So sometimes you'll make amplify rolls when you visit a bandit camp, or if someone plays a battle rage card or a wind card and you have wind limbs, okay, you get to roll amplify. So if you are rolling an amplify, if you're making a roll for an amplify, you can roll 1 extra die, and that just gives you a chance to pick one from among one more option in your die pool. Now you don't get to take an extra die, you just have an extra option to still select one choice for the amplify effects. And then also, in addition to that, Gem will break ally ties if Chunk is not on your team. So if the warlord ends up being having the Chunk torso, then Gem would get to decide those team ties. Ties don't occur too much in the game in the state it's now, but every so often they'll happen. So that's Gem, and then the Gem Warmock side. Next up we have Twig, whose passive is before your reaction. So when you're attacked, during combat there's the attacker, there's the defender. Sometimes if you're the attacker, and let's say a junk golem, let's say junk golem's the defender, you attack, You use a total attack or whatever action you're going to take, and then the junk golem reacts with some sort of defense. Depends on, it's in the rulebook what it would do. Okay, then it becomes the junk golem's turn to be the attacker. So let's say it attacks you, and then you're the defender, and you can react. With Twig, you actually, before you even take your reaction, you can roll 1d6, and if you roll a 1, you'll lose no metal from the attacker's action. So sword icon is attacker, and then the arrow up and to the left is action, whereas down arrow in a box is reaction. Okay, so we'd roll, let's see, roll 5. So in this case, we would not get to take no damage, but we could still make our reaction, which could be a dispel or speed block, what have you. All right, so that's Twig. And again, we'll show Twig's Warmock side right there. And finally, we have Hunk. Hunka, burning love right here. No. So with Hunk, his passive is when using a reaction counterattack. So everyone has, except for the Warlord themselves, has the reaction ability of counterattack. And we'll show, we'll get Riviera's here. So counterattack essentially says the attacker's metal is you subtract from the attacker's metal 3 per positive charge on your Juggernaut. Return the positive charges to the owner. Okay. So let's say we have Hunk here, and we're playing as Riviera, and we had focus charge, and we had 2 charges, giving our Hunk a boost of essentially +4 attack strength, +4 speed. Awesome. Great. Just what we want. Then, let's say we get attacked, and we could dispel, we could speed block. We choose, no, you know what? We're going to counterattack. So we would essentially, in a counterattack, we would get to take -3 per charge on your Juggernaut. So essentially 3, 6. So this, I would counterattack as my reaction and do 6 damage, or reduce the attacker, the person who attacked me, because I'm defending if I'm reacting. The attacker's metal, reduce their metal. Metal is the sort of the vitality, your power, your life, your HP, that type of thing. Reduce the attacker's metal by 3 times your charges, so 2, so 6 damage, which that's pretty good. Some, like the Warmocks have a lot more metal, but still, if that's not a bad trade-off versus some junk golems or beasts that you encounter. So that is -3. So that'd be your counterattack. But when you're Hunk, when using the reaction of counterattack, your metal loss is reduced by 3 per charge. So let's say I got attacked for 6, or let's say I got attacked for 7 damage. All right, well, I'm going to counterattack. I'm going to use my 2 charges. So the attacker will take 6 damage. I will, because I'm using 2 charges, I will reduce how much damage I'm taking by 6. Or if it's just 1 charge, by 3. So essentially, I would only take 1 damage from that attack of 7, and the attacker would take 6 damage. Now, they could still dispel that counterattack, but that's not a bad trade-off if you're playing as Hunk. So it's good when you're playing as Hunk to get charges on you, probably, more so than on your arms to put on the enemy. But anyway, that is Hunk. The torso for Hunk, and this is his Warmock side. All right, so let's keep Hunk out here. But those are the torsos for Junkyard Juggernauts. Now we'll do a little added bonus here of just, let's do a quick build of Juggernaut to see what's valid, what's invalid, because that's some things that would be helpful to know. So we're just going to take some random cards. I'm going to put these underneath, actually. Give me 1 moment. Reset here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to we have all these different power cards, which you can go see the other video about what the power cards mean and whatnot. I'm going to do a quick shuffle here. I'm just going to deal myself out 4 random ones. Okay, we'll go do those 4. And we'll just keep we'll say we're continuing to be Riviera. So hopefully we get some blue ones to show an example of what that means. But okay, so Riviera. And we get, let's see here. Of course, no blue ones. Okay, we're gonna, let's see, where's the next blue one? We're just gonna pick one to show the example of that. Okay, there's one. All right. Oh, and it's the chunkiest of chunk. It's that one. Okay. We won't do the green one. Okay. All right, so this is first try my hand, guys. Okay, so let's say we got this hand. Okay, we're gonna build with this there, and we're gonna put this wind card up here. And something I did neglect to say on my power card video is if you look at a card like this, you may be like, I don't know which one is the arm and which one's the leg. They kind of look like this could be arms maybe, but is this legs? So one way to know what's what is right here, there's a little A pointed up, and that indicates arms. And the corollary, and this is on all the power cards, there's a little L pointed up that indicates that these are the legs. So if you're ever confused, that's one way to tell which is the legs, which is the arms. Okay, so let's put this as the arms right there. And then this legs will be right here. And then this arm will be right here. Okay, so let's say we're building this way. Another component I totally forgot about on the power card video is that, and it's a little hard to see in the lighting. Let's see if I can, okay. It blocks me, but it'll help you guys to read this. So when you've constructed your Juggernaut, there's these little sort of flavor text on all the cards. You may when you're watching that video, may wonder why are all these little words in black? What do those mean? It's just essentially a flavorful way of like naming your Juggernaut. I mean, yes, the torsos have names, but think of like ships or submarines, like a Zulu class submarine or Ohio class submarine, or this destroyer frigate or something like that. So, or an M1A1 Abrams tank, something like that. So essentially you use these little keywords to create, while I'm talking, I'll take that off. Use these little keywords to create your own sort of custom name for your Juggernaut. Now your Juggernaut will change as you play, as you upgrade things. So probably wherever it is in its final state is the official name you have for it. But if you want to look at where you start, then for instance, this one would be a Breeze class. And you look at sort of whatever the words are that you can read. So Breeze class. And then on the legs, it's the outer ones. Crushing burn, a crushing burn. Oh man. And obviously you could probably switch these ones. Sometimes you couldn't switch them based on what arms you chose. But this could also be a flare Leviathan. So anyway, whichever way you want to put it. So those are what those little names are. And you also use them to name the beasts you encounter during patrolling the bounds. Which we'll get into in another video. Anyway, so this, if we use our metal, so this would be, again, if we're playing as Riviera, she's not wind, she's water. So this is going to start at its base metal of 2. This at its base metal of, oh, that's a 2. Whoops. Of 2. The leg is going to have a base metal of 3. But this leg, because Riviera is water, which you can see right there, water in this by her name, matches the water symbol here. So she gets to start this leg at an upgrade, the full upgrade of 10. So very, very good. So very fast, 12 speed is pretty good. Nothing to be ashamed of. Only 4 attack strength though. So that is how this is considered a valid build of this Juggernaut. What would be an invalid build? Well, one way to make it invalid would be to do something like this. Let's say you have a 2 down here and a 3 up here. So on each side of your Juggernaut, you want the arm base, the arm metal can't be greater. It can be equal, but it can't be greater than the leg metal. So in this case, we would have a 2 here, and you can sort of look on your tracks too. If they're ever one above the other, that's fine. But if you ever have the top track higher up than the bottom track, you've made a miscalculation somewhere. Thank you for the lurk, Leslie. So in this case, this would be invalid because you have a 3 on top of a 2. Now, as you take damage, sometimes you will like lose a leg, and that's fine. But when you're actually building and augmenting your Juggernaut, you always have to make your legs be equal to or more than your arms. All right, so that would be an invalid build. One other invalid build is that might not be readily noticeable right off the bat is something like, let's see if I can find a better one. Okay, yeah, no, this is a good one. Okay, let's pretend we didn't have this one. Let's pretend we had this one instead. So again, in this instance, we're playing as Riviera. Now I'm gonna pause just a second and see why do you think this build might be invalid? If you didn't spot, no worries. Lots of people don't. So actually, I think once it's pointed out, it's like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. But here, because we're playing as Riviera, this would get its fully upgraded amount. Normally, this would be, oh, okay, this is a 1 over 2. That's totally fine. Whoa, as I hit the camera. Is it 1 base metal over 2 base metal? Yeah, that's valid. But because you always start fully upgrade for the limb if it matches your Mageneer, then this would actually start off on the 3 and not the 1. So this does become invalid, which means you would probably have to switch this instead. Have this leg down here and this arm up here, making your attack strength 2 and your leg strength, or your right arm 2 and your left arm, or your right leg 3. What's my left and right again? I gotta remember. All right, so that's how to make valid builds with when you're building out for your Juggernaut. All right, let's see. So that is building your Juggernaut. That is moving the metal where it should go. And that is all the different torsos for that you'll play with in Junkyard Juggernauts: Hunk, Gem, Twig, and Chunk. Let me know in the comments if you have a favorite just based on design or the ability it has, or maybe just like a certain name. I'm pretty sure my wife likes the name Chunk. We're always calling things like chunky birds or whatever. But yeah, let me know. And until next time, I'm not the Warlord. Godspeed, Mageneers.